Okay, I just wanted to go over a couple of the changes that I made real quickly offline. Um, I added another bounce here at the end. Just felt like it wasn't. Uh, it just felt like it was missing one more bounce. And on this bounce here, it only had um, basically it went from one frame from that pose to that pose. I added an in between in there just to soften it a little bit. It was just looking a little bit too hard and fast for me. It was kind of popping and catching itself. And I also just added a little more rotation on the roll here because it felt like it was sliding a little bit to me. Um, and that's basically all I did. Oh, and I also went through the wide translation here and just rounded out the curve a little bit. It was a little looking more like this before uh, in the arcs, so I just kind of rounded them out a little bit and gave it a little bit better of a feel for it. One thing I wanted to call your attention to as well is I use something called the KM player, and I'll load it up for you right now. This is it. And what I use it for is a way to kind of reset my brain when I'm working on animation. And, you're looking at it for so long, it can be really difficult to see mistakes. And this is actually a tool, this is actually based on a technique that I learned many years ago in illustration on kind of how to do the same thing. You're working on an illustration or a painting for so long, or even a drawing. Sometimes you can't see issues with proportion or composition. So what they used to do is you'd hold your artwork up to a mirror, and you basically getting a reverse angle on your image, your project, your art, whatever it is, kind of resets your brain, and all the problems seem to really pop out at you. So I kind of do that with my animation as well. So I'm just going to just do a play blast here real quick. And that's going to open a different program, which is the VLC Media Player that I sometimes use as well. So what we do to switch your default playback, move this out of the way. What you would do, it's not an option in Maya, which can be pretty frustrating when you're trying to figure out what to play back. Pick a movie file. There's an AVI right here. You go to Open With, choose Default Program, select the KM Player. Make sure this is checked. Always use a selected program to open this kind of file. So that way when you're play blasting over and over again, it's always going to load up the KM Player. So here we have the animation. Oh, that was the other video. Sorry. Let's go back to that play blast again and load that up. So now we just switched our default program. So now it's loading up the KM Player. And what you can do here is go to video. Let me see where it is. There's a couple different ways you can get to it. Might be under Video Basic. Yeah, it is. All right, there we go. Mirror image. And the shortcut is Control F10. So now when you play it, it's playing it backwards, and it basically will just reset your brain a little bit on viewing your animation. It's really a great technique. I use it all the time. and it's just a good way to kind of reset your brain. For a KM player, you would another way you can get to this is instead of right-clicking here, if you went to Tools button here and went to Effects, Flip Rotation, there it is as well. So let's go to I'll find the website for you. And let me resize my window here. Oh, let's close that guy. And here's the KM player. So the website is kmplayer.en.softonic.com. And that would be KM Player's website. Or if this might be just a download site. I don't know that it's, let's see, powered by Pandora TV. So basically you just do a search for it and it'll come up in a number of different places to download it. And there you go. Okay, so this is where we're at now. What I wanted to cover, another aspect of timing is basically taking the exact same ball and having it go from, this bouncy ball feel to more of a bowling ball type bounce. So what we're going to do is just go back to our first frame. I'm going to holding Shift, selecting all the keys, and I'm going to delete them. It was a right mouse click, by the way, to get that pop-up menu. And then we're going to go back to our front view, and we are going to animate this. So let's just have it fall. This is frame 0 here, or value of 0 at frame 10, sorry. And then because you want a nice fast fall, that's actually feeling a little too slow. But we're not going to worry so much about that right now. We're just going to get our poses in. And because because we're animating a bowling ball, a bowling ball isn't going to bounce very high because of the weight, the mass of the object. It would take a massive amount of energy to get it to bounce. And just a simple drop, the ball's not going to come up too high. So we're just going to do very little bounce. And one thing to know, keep in mind about your timing is that heavy objects will stay in the air for only a very short time. So they're going to be on the ground for more frames than they would be in the air in an action. And light objects, really light objects, are going to be in the air for longer than they're going to be on the ground. So if I was animating, say, like a balloon or maybe even a beach ball, I'd have them be spending much more time in the air through their arc of the bounce than I would having it on the ground. Whereas doing the bowling ball here, it's not going to be in the air for very long at all. And it may just bounce only twice in comparison to back to 0. So now if we played this, I'm pretty sure we don't need 70 frames here. Just give it a few frames at the tail. Because of the timing isn't really set yet, it's still feeling pretty light. It just looks wrong. So let's go and start playing with the timing. So we're going to cut out a few frames here. Again, that was one of the ways you can mess around with it. And then, or you can use your shortcuts. So now we play this. See how much heavier that thing feels? And now let's go, because I think we're set to spline here. We're not getting the right effect exactly. So we're going to want to set these guys to be linear. And we're going to want them broken. And we're going to want to be able to modify these individually. So let's frame in on here. Okay. And I think I want this to come in a little faster as well. So now let's take a look at our changes. Boom, boom. So you're really feeling that. And even the bounce, the second bounce is feeling a little slow to me. So let's go and modify some of the keys here. Adjusting these tangents. Come into those frames just a little bit faster. We need to release the weight there. I can make it a little bit tighter. Okay. Not too bad. Let's release the tangent weight. Just feeling a little bit too flat up here. Okay, let's take a look at that now. Okay, so maybe it's fallen just a touch fast. We're going to just add it in between here. And maybe it's actually even bouncing a little high here. Let's go in here. That's what I wanted it to do. All right, so what's the value? Basically, it's 0.9. Let's bring it down. 0.5. We're just going to flatten that one out. Bring this in a little bit. And then let's see if that's 0.57. This one should be the 0.24. No, 2527. Oops. Changed it in the wrong spot. 27. Okay. Let's just check out the close up of the tangents a little bit more here. Not so bad. And let's have a look. Yeah, so that thing's feeling nice and heavy now. Switch over to our perspective window. So that's not feel much, or that's feeling much more like a bowling ball would feel if dropped. I'm just checking out. Thinking about the height of those bounces, if there still might be too high. No, I think it's okay. Um, and then again, the same thing. We could take this thing and have it roll. Let's just go here. We'll drag it just for a little bit to there. Let's open up the side view. Oh, we got some funkiness happening in our translation from the curves from the previous animation. All right, so we really don't want it to start to roll until after the first bounce. So let's take this and we're going to slide it to there. Let's see how that's feeling. It looks like it's going much too fast. So let's take this value, bring it up. That's going to slow it down. And then we are going to have this be linear. And we're going to slow it down even further. And we're also going to lessen the amount of roll, the distance of the roll traveled. And then let's add a little rotation. Let's actually have it rotate as it's falling. Just slightly. Add just a touch of rotation. All right, so we're getting the same issue happening here because of the previous anim. So it's having a little bit of rotation, and then we're going to have it rotate more. Let's see our rotation X. We're going to have this continue linearly. View our infinity. I didn't take that. There it goes. All right. Oops. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And basically what that's doing is it's animating it for me to the point where I want to set a key. I think I want this to be sometimes selecting, I don't know what happened, but for some reason selecting these tangent arms gotten much more sensitive than the previous version of Maya that I used. All right, so I'm gonna set a key for it here. Key selected. So I should set up a keyframe for that, or a hotkey, because I use it quite often. Why don't we do that? Want to do that? Let's do that. So let's go. Actually, I want to make it a hotkey. We'll make it a user hotkey. Let's open up our graph. Sorry, our script editor. We are going to clear all. Going to echo all commands. Going to right mouse click. Key selected. Let's see. So we don't want that. We want to do, I think that. So let's go under Window. Come on, you. Hotkey editor. We are going to go down to User. We're going to go New. Set key for selected. In set key selected. And then sets key for channel selected in channel box. And then we're going to put our menu key. Oops. That's not it. That was something in my clipboard. Copy. Paste. Hit accept. The name must begin with alphabet. Oh. I forgot no spaces. What was I thinking? Too much time on a Mac, I guess. Okay, now that should do it. There she is. Okay, so I am going to query what Alt S does. Alt S, what does that set to? Toggle FBIK effectors pin state from skeleton. Don't use it. So I'm going to assign it to this. Overwrite it. And then we save it. Now let's test her out, shall we? So let's say we want to keyframe this, and then we hit Alt S. And there is the keyframe. Cool. See, it worked. And let's just select some of our other channels. Make sure we didn't put a keyframe there. And it did not. See? Excellent. Alrighty. So there we now have a new, instead of clicking, right-clicking, going down here to select, just cuts out a few of the steps. And, you know, as animators are being paid, especially in games, actually in anything, you're being paid to animate as quickly as possible and at the highest quality as possible. So anything that saves repetitive tasks, that saves a little bit of time, after a day's work, it adds up. So we are going to where's the frame she stops? Right about here. Only it is frame 25. All right, let's add another key with our nifty new shortcut. And let's play back the anim. Flatten that out because I want it to ease to a stop. And it's spinning way too much. You can see that thing just sliding like mad. So we basically just need to take this value here and bring it way up. And let's just continue that curve out a little bit and see how that looks. Play it. Looks like it's might be sliding a little bit too much. I think it's this keyframe here that we set is causing us some issues. Still over rotating here. So now you go back over here. This guy. Actually, I need to bring this up some. I'm pretty sure there's a formula for this that you can figure it out. I think I might have mentioned it before. Um, but I much prefer to animate by eye. We might even want it to roll a little further before it stops. Because it's going to take a tremendous amount of energy to have this thing stop because of the weight. So it's going to, not only is it going to take a lot of energy to get it to move, but it's also going to take a lot of energy to act upon it to get it to stop moving. So we are going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go linear curve. So when I adjust this handle, it's going to automatically give me some translation here. I am going to select it, my Z, my new shortcut, added my key. I'm going to flatten that out. And I may just bring this up a bit. I'm going to release the weight on that. I can have a little bit. Let's see how. Release the weight on this to bring this in a little bit more. All right, let's have a look. Okay, it's feeling a little bit better. All right, so now we have to do the same thing for the rotation. We are going to, we still have this set to linear. If you want to get rid of that, the linear post curve, you would go curve. Basically, so what I'm doing is when I have the pre and post here is for these basically set pre and post. Again, this is a hotkey or a hotbox that I created. It basically just does this, set it to constant. And because I was doing that a lot, I made shortcuts for it and it saved me a lot of time. So then you can go back in here. You notice if you change the value, it's not changing the post keyframe curve to go linearly interpolated. Now it's just constant, like it is by default. But I want it to actually go back to linear. And then I'm going to go back to translate or rotate X. I'm sorry. Use my new shortcut. I'm going to flatten that out. Bring it up just a tad. The same thing, I'm going to release the weight. Bring it way in. And let's see. See? And that's feeling a lot better to me. So boom. Oops. There we go. There's our ball bounce. For a bowling ball using the exact same sphere. Adjusting the timing. And adding the principles of weight, we get a completely different effect. Alrighty. That's about it, I think, for this. And so let's move on.